These guys survived the David Kahn era of Timberwolves basketball and live to tell about it. It's Flagrant Howls.
We got the sports dad, Judd Zulgad, Phil Mackey here, and a man who assuredly turned the game off in anger at halftime and woke up to gleeful text messages from all of his friends and family. Craig Kilborn, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Flagrant Howls.
I felt so good after the game that I said, Blair Walsh, I forgive you. I'm kidding. So,
that's not happening.
We're not taking it
That's not
that far. Yeah, not
no.
taking that far.
I was exaggerating.
Maybe if they beat the Mavericks, we can forgive Blair Walsh. We'll see.
Happy birthday, Phil.
Thank you, Lord Kilby.
I mean,
I
it's a
appreciate
big
that.
day for you, but to me, it's second to. Now, why did you say I turned the game off? Why would you say something like that? Do you know me too well, or what?
Sometimes you turn the game off if it's not going well and take a walk around the block and maybe come back later. Or is that habit for the regular season games when all the chips aren't on the table?
Well, first of all, I can sit through any game if I want to. The point is, why do that? So Jerry West would get nervous and walk around the old Fabulous Forum years ago when he was the GM president. He couldn't handle it. Ethan Casson moves around and he sits way up there and he's nervous. Craigers gets frustrated. Yeah. So I'm going to be honest. You guys can pass judgment on me. When in the second quarter, when it went up to 11 and Jamal Murray started getting hot, I said, "Yeah, I'm not sitting through this crap. I'm gonna." So I follow it on my phone, and it's really exhilarating. Princess Cherry and I went to a place called Pally House in Culver City. We sat there. I had a Chopin vodka martini. And it's just like, oh my God, we're down 15 at half. Oh my, I read things. I read Britt Robson saying Cat's playing well. Judd Zulgad saying don't blame the refs. All of this stuff. It's just, it's so much an adventure. And I said, I'm going to watch I watched it last night. I just rewatched it this morning.
Oh,
the missed calls, the no calls, the turnovers. Where do you want to start?
I mean, Judd, you tell me where we should start, Judd.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to note that while the open to this show begins with they survived the David Kahn era, Kilby and I go back to Jimmy Rogers.
You've survived the Jimmy Rogers era.
Which was the guys? Bill Blair, all those guys.
Bill
right?
Blair, the salty sea captain who once called JR a piece of bleep. So anyway, we've survived the 90s as well. But where I would like to start, I think it's very fair, is Cat. Cat, in my opinion, has taken a lot of deserved criticism. Never because he wasn't
from
talented.
Kilby. I, for one, never wavered. But Craig, it's time to apologize for your Cat commentary.
I think a lot of people know I'm a huge, huge Cat fan. I think he's incredibly gifted, as we all do. But I understand why he's infuriating to some people. And so is Rudy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Don't get me started there.
Well, wait, Barkley wanted Rudy benched at halftime.
I know. Barkley just says stuff. He just says crazy stuff. And this is where I think Finchie is so patient. And he's just patient with all the mistakes and the miscues. And it's just, I just rewatched it and I'm just saying, when Cat didn't call the timeout when he threw it in, at the end of the game when he lost it, it was off of Denver anyways. And I thought they used to review that in the last 2 minutes, but they didn't. But that was a mistake. Okay, Cat, call a timeout, but it was off of Denver. They knocked it out, in my opinion. I mean, sometimes it looks like it flicks off of Ant's hand. But I'm very happy for all the Minnesota fans with this happening. And I sometimes will disassociate. I say that the Vikings haven't won a Super Bowl. I know, but we've been good for a very long time. I know you guys want to win. We all want to win. But this Timberwolves team is very different. It's because of Ant. I think most of it's because of Ant. 6 for 24, but he's still a force of nature. And he still hit that big three on that great steal by Conley. We went up 10. I mean, so many ebbs and flows. How did you guys handle it?
Oh man, lots of adult beverages, real quick, since you brought up the 6 for 24 thing.
Yes.
A couple things real quick. Karl-Anthony Towns absolutely a career-changing playoffs in these first two series. He's been most of the good things that you would say about Cat in his career have come to the surface, and many of the bad things you would say about Cat have been suppressed more in these last two series. And that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of him guarding Jokic, and he is a big bot. You know, Karl can move. He played very well. We know he can score. I love the putback dunk at the end.
Oh,
but still, as a bit of a perfectionist here, I don't know if he'll ever learn not to reach. I mean, he still had some weird reaches. He got those 5 fouls. He reached at the end. He always reaches and tries to. And I'll tell you something. When there was a play where they got it to Jokic at the top of the key, and he was trying to pass out, and it was a deflection, but it was actually a foul on Cat. They didn't call it, and then Ant got the dunk on the other end. These are the ebbs and flows where do the calls even themselves out or not? Because there were some missed calls, there were some bad calls, but I think it probably evened itself out. I don't know what you guys think.
Oh yeah, and I believe that because the Wolves got put into the bonus early, that they had significantly more free throw attempts,
way more, and they made 86%.
But Kilby, the thing to me about this game, the second half in particular, and what makes this team so embraceable is, as the TNT crew talked about, the win started with defense again. Like, that's what I love about this. Is as meat and potatoes as you can possibly get. Yes, Ant is a great player, but I mean, I think that in at least a couple of games, Ant's contribution was far more on defense. And the fact that he takes pride, and the fact that Chris Finch has got these guys to buy into doing something that a lot of professional basketball players simply don't do.
Yeah.
That's why I like this team, because they're willing to work their ass off. And they came back from 20 down because of that, not because they got red hot from the field.
100% right. So as a basketball fan, I remember when the Spurs with Tim Duncan and Ginobili beat Dwayne Wade and LeBron James with the Heat, and the ball movement was so beautiful. That's basketball. That's basketball. Because I like that. But this is defense. It all starts with defense. Our offensive flow is not always there. And there's something about it. There's something infuriating when you have great offense and you don't play any defense. We play defense. And sometimes Jamal Murray gets hot. But man, there were some great plays at the end there. They on Jokic. Naz Reid blocked Jokic.
How about that?
I mean, there's so many little plays that when the shot clock was running down and they swung it to the left corner for Conley hit the three. I mean, it's so exhilarating. Oh my God, this was amazing. I don't say it. Get rid of it now, Phil. Make a D'Lo joke. We don't need him.
See, you always have to dig up the D'Lo. I've moved past it, okay? The D'Lo slander. You know, the fact that you could have just traded him straight up from Mike Conley and it would have been an upgrade for this team. And then they just throw in Nickeil Alexander-Walker and some thirds.
By the way, quick question. Were you guys at Game 6? I wasn't. But if you were, was it the loudest place? And I love when Judd was saying they sold the tickets to the blue-collar guys, the real fans.
They did.
Yeah, you could tell it was rowdy. Pre-game introductions, the Nuggets team is being introduced, and organically, not because the video board's telling fans to chant, they're organizing their own chants.
Right.
I do worry a little bit because now you look at the secondary market for the Western Conference Finals, and it's like the get-in price is back over $300.
Yep.
Are the blue-collar fans going to be priced out from being in the arena? So hey, if you are a wealthy fan out there, if you are a white-collar fan snagging these tickets, be loud. Okay, wave your flag, be loud.
We need the Vern Gagne, Nick Bonkwinkle, Bobby Heenan fans in there if we're going to win this thing.
Amen.
Get in there, be rowdy, have some booze on your breath. But real quick, you said something, Kilby, about Anthony Edwards that you said, I believe you 6 for 24, but I believe the phrase you used was he's such a force of nature. That he's not defined by a box score, even though, by the way, his box scores have been glorious for the majority of his playoff games. Some amazing symbolism. So we love to try and draw comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and the aesthetic of their games, the fadeaway, the snarl, but also the charming personality. This might be my favorite parallel. 6 for 24 in a Game 7 in which you found other ways to contribute and your team fed off you being a force of nature. June 17th, 2010, NBA Finals Game 7. Kobe Bryant went 6 for 24 in that game. Now, he also grabbed 15 rebounds. He played defense. I think it was Ron Artest or whatever it was. Meta World Peace. Hit a bunch of threes. But the 6 for 24 number is significant because Kobe did it in a Game 7, and his team still won. And him being a force of nature found other ways to contribute. So I love the way you put it, force of nature.
Well, it's interesting you brought up that game because I was forewarning some of my friends and my brother that a lot of Game 7s are ugly. And one of the ugliest one was the game you mentioned, Celtics on the road, Game 7. I believe I have the stats. Yeah, we shot 39% last night. That's not good.
Yeah.
But I'm so happy about this. We had 9 turnovers. I'm going to give you a shocking number. It's hard to comprehend. I looked at the box score of that Kobe game, and they were double. Thibodeau was the assistant for Boston with Doc Rivers, and they said, we're going to double Kobe, and he probably won't want to pass, and he kept forcing shots. The Celtics had 30 turnovers in that game, and the Lakers had 20 or 22. I mean, ugly. I don't think this was ugly at all. It was just so many ebbs and flows. And you can tell I just watched the game and I'm just confused on different plays and different, when Cat, when he tried to take it out of bounds and it was tipped, I mean, what did you guys think? I mean, did it bother you? Then it cut it down to 5. I mean, were you irritated or what were you thinking?
I started to get a little panicky, Judd, a little panicky.
I thought that was as much old school Cat as we saw all night because he panicked. Right. Like he had 2 timeouts. Just use one.
Yep.
And you could see the mind. And again, this is the difference between Cat's mind and his abilities. His abilities are not questioned. His mind is, and it's so funny because so much of last night's game, and he deserves complete credit for this, Kilby, he slowed down.
Yeah.
He slowed himself down.
Yeah.
He made the right shot. His patience when he was being singled up by Murray, for instance.
Yeah.
His patience to just slowly but surely make his way, back him down.
Right.
Marvelous.
He was 8 of 14, but he was cold from 3. 1 for 6. What if he was hot? What if he was normal for 3? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't feel, certainly they played close to their A-level defensive game in the second half, but I don't know how many times in the 11 playoff games they've played. Game 6, they brought their A game on both ends, but I feel like they've gotten to this point, and we've only seen the actual A game on both sides of the ball maybe 3 times, maybe like a couple times against Phoenix, maybe once or twice against Denver.
Right, and I think that's what Chris Finch has been saying is he thinks that when they're at their best, they're better than Denver when Denver's at their best. Now, true confession, when I was at games 3 and 4, and I sometimes marvel at the Denver offense, and I just say, man, I think they might be better. They're just so efficient because Jaden McDaniels doesn't always show up, and didn't to hit a shot last night. There's that inconsistency, but I have to just accept the flaws of this team and know that hard-nosed defense is special. And I might be being unrealistic here. My joke is that it's now smooth sailing after we beat Denver, the best team. And I honestly don't know Dallas as well as I should because they made those trades and they got some new guys and they have some size and they're rebounding like crazy. But I just, we set a record for biggest comeback in NBA history in a Game 7. The previous was 11, and now this was 20.
Yeah. I think wasn't Cleveland down by 18 like a week ago or a few days ago too against Orlando. I think there was an 18-point comeback. This time around.
This was in a Game 7. Yeah, I don't remember, but I don't know. But I just read it this morning. But I don't know, guys. It's hard to put into words how exhilarating it was. And another question for you guys: what did you think? Because I could care less, but Jokic got a little pissy about Ant waving and Jaden trying to do a tap dunk off the bounce. I mean, did you care?
The dunk contest attempted moment was a little aggressive from Jaden McDaniels. The
He's a
waving
crazy
thing,
guy. Right.
Yeah, he's just been stewing the entire series waiting to do that. The waving thing, I don't know. The fans
The
are
waving
going
thing
at.
I could care less about. Did you see what Luka did on the road? He goes, "You came to pay to see me play. Yes, you're welcome." Or, I mean, he's talking noise. These guys can talk noise.
Ant can for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jaden might want to tone things down, but yes, Ant. And plus, it's impossible not to like Ant. He has, as I tweeted last night, he has somehow perfected the press conference F-bomb, which has never been a thing before.
I know.
Yeah. The way that he now, it's now to the point where even though there's a 6 or 7 year age gap between Karl and Anthony Edwards, Ant is treating Karl like his younger brother, not the other way around. Or like there was 10 different exchanges last night, and I mean that in a positive way. And, and huge credit to Kat for just sort of allowing this transition to happen. It's not like when Marbury got all up in his feelings and demanded a trade, or when Kevin Love got all up in his feelings about Rubio maybe getting a 5-year max. Kat has kind of said, whatever, man, like I just want to win, so if he's the man. But the exchange where Kat starts talking about, I've been here for 9 years, I've seen a lot of stuff, and Ant interrupts him and goes, man, F those 9 years. And Kat's like, yeah, F those 9 years. And then the reporter that tried to say, I don't even know what point he was trying to make.
You got to lose. You got to lose in the
Lose
Western
big.
Conference Finals. You got to lose a big game. We've been losing for 20 years.
Right. He's like, how much? Kat's like, we've been losing for 20 years. 20 years, man. How much more losing you want us to do?
So you're right about Ant's personality, and someone was talking, I think, this morning. One of my least favorite players, God rest his soul, is Kobe Bryant. I didn't like his game, and I didn't like his personality. And both he and Jordan were really hard on teammates, and they played angry with a scowl. And Ant does everything with a smile. Stop effing fouling, Cat. Come on, man.
Yes.
And his personality is really amazing. And he encourages his teammates. He's so happy for Jaden McDaniels. And he often says, Cat's our best player. He says that. What do you think Cat thinks about that? And Cat is a quirky guy, oddball, and Ant embraces him. I just think it's beautiful.
He got up, Ant was about to leave the press conference. Don't know if you guys saw this. And he realized he had forgotten to mention Jaden, and it's now become his obligatory thing. And he starts talking about he's MVP of the semifinal. And then he said, well, there's no such thing, but he's been our MVP of the first 2 rounds. And it was this whole obligatory, I always mention Jaden. It's incredible. It's incredible for a 22-year-old kid to have the wherewithal that he does. And look, I think that lifts Cat. Like, I think there's no question. It empowers Cat and gives Cat confidence. And the thing last night that impressed me too is TNT had Ant mic'd up and they played it. And Kilby, you could hear a couple of times, like when things were going bad, they're down like 15-20. He's like, don't worry about it. Stick with it. It was like this. It's like he's 30.
I know. He's one of a kind personality. And as a player, the two-way thing, stripping Jamal Murray, and it's just, and, I've always said he's ahead of what I thought. I wasn't sure in the regular season. I said, I don't know if he'll ever be as fundamentally sound as Michael Jordan. He took some, he will take some bad shots. Some of them were bad, but it's kind of irrelevant, because he did lead the team in assists. He drove and kicked to Jaden numerous times. He draws so much attention that when he does miss, Rudy can get an offensive rebound. And Rudy was drawing fouls. I want to just touch on Rudy because I know he infuriates people. Very funny, Phil, about the new logo with the
Did you like that tweet?
Yes.
That was pretty funny, right?
Yeah, that was funny.
Rudy hitting a 20-foot fadeaway. We compare Anthony Edwards to Michael Jordan. Go look at the Rudy fadeaway and tell me who the real Michael Jordan is on this team.
So I had done a podcast when the trade was made a year ago. I was a guest on a Utah podcast, and I said to the guy, when you see somebody day in and day out, you know more than I do, because I can tell Warrior fans what they're going to get and not get with Andrew Wiggins because I've seen him play a lot. And I said, so tell me about Rudy. He goes, well, don't ever let him dribble. They didn't let Rudy do anything in Utah, but he does bother me. I'm going to be honest. We give him the ball too much. Some of the runs, in the second quarter, we were feeding him and he was just losing the ball. So you have to, I think you have to be a little more selective when you give him the ball down low.
Lobs up top.
Yeah, but the other thing is, I watched the game with Princess Cherry, my significant other, and I say, okay, then that's a lucky shot, and she goes, I don't care, it went in. Who cares?
Princess Cherry.
There's luck involved. I mean, even that left-handed shot he made where Reggie Miller did a joke. He goes, did he just do a Jordan?
The Jordan switch.
It looked like it slipped out of his hand and banked in. I mean, hilarious. So it's part of life. It's just part of life. But he's infuriating, but I love keeping him on the floor because he does so much on the defensive end. And even on offense, he forces things to happen,
Well, he provides this hidden value, and you look up at the end of a series and like Rudy has the best plus minus, or at the end of a game, and it's not necessarily there's so many possessions we've coined them never minds on the Kyle Tighe episodes, and Grady and Jim Pete have kind of picked up on it too, where there's not something that you tally in a box score for Jamal Murray dribbling into the paint, then going baseline, and there's just a praying mantis, Rudy Gobert, that redirects the play in a different area. Now the shot clock's at 7. Like, he doesn't get credit for a statistic on that possession.
Right.
But him just being out there. Now, there are some things that, like you said, that are frustrating. But this idea that I'm going to pick on Barkley here, even though I love him, like that he should just be benched at halftime because they need to go.
He doesn't know what's going on. And by the way, Rudy made his free throws last night. I think he was 7 of 9.
He did.
Let me just say on Rudy, because I want to get your guys' feedback here. I'm going to do a pod today on the Life Gorgeous, just a solo pod, and I might bring up, I've already done it, but I'm going to say something about Draymond Green. And I just want Draymond Green for a moment in his life to be a man and not talk about Rudy as a ball player. Just say, my name is Draymond Green, and I hate Rudy as a human being because he has so much venom towards Rudy Gobert. It's childish.
It is. Yeah, I mean, he's after Game 5, I think it was, he goes on, of course, he's got the TNT platform inside the NBA, and he's clowning the Wolves and Gobert and saying, you can tell that Denver has taken their will to win. The series is over, and Gobert, this, that, and the other. 4-time defensive player there. But then you go look at the way Draymond struggled against the Nuggets and the Warriors against the Nuggets. Very hypocritical. I feel like the difference between Barkley and Draymond, it's, well, two things. One, it's obvious that inside the NBA for the last few years, and this might be the end of that show, the Wolves might be like the last team they talk about and crown in the Western Conference Finals, because that show might get blown up if NBC finalizes the rights. But they've been trying to find some transitions from the current inside the NBA crew. They test drove Dwayne Wade for a couple years. Mm-hmm. They got Vince Carter in there last night. Draymond they've brought on, Jamal Crawford. Like, they've got these younger generation guys. And the difference between Draymond and Charles Barkley, because I think they think maybe Draymond can be that entertaining lightning rod. Barkley can say anything with a little bit of a smile and some charm, and it's funny.
Yes.
Draymond is just mean.
Correct.
And it's his ego trying to overcompensate for his own shortcomings, and it's like his own agenda playing out on TV.
And Barkley will laugh at himself when he makes a mistake and he says, he just talks out of his ass.
Barkley's howling on national television last night. I love the Wolves. Oh, after clowning them all year, right? It's hilarious.
I was going to say something else on a bigger picture just to get you and Judd your feedback, but I always set the bar low with the Timberwolves in the past because I was just grateful that we had an NBA team, because I fell in love with the NBA in the early 1970s when I was in second grade and we didn't have a team. So it was Walt Frazier. My dad was from New York. I liked him. And then I discovered Dr. J. So it's almost like a bonus that the Wolves are really good, as opposed to we need the Vikings to win a Super Bowl. They've always been good. You know what I'm saying? It's like the Wolves, I don't know about the Twins. The Twins won, and it was amazing. I remember where I was. Again, I was in a bar because I have to have a little libation while I'm watching the stress.
No judgment.
Nothing irresponsible. Just just a little.
Seriously, I cut way down. Look at my face. It's clean cut.
Fantastic. Yeah, look fantastic.
But how do you guys feel about the Wolves now? I mean, now that they're this good, I'm like, I want a championship. I want a championship.
I think they've been, fairly such an afterthought, because there's always been this great hardcore fan base, right? But when you go through 16 years of no playoffs, and then when you come out of that, and it's Jimmy Butler, who's just miserable, and Tibbs, who's miserable, and so I think the Wolves have just sort of been like that thing on a shelf. They've been there, but you don't really think much about that. And this, to me, changes it completely. But what's great about this too is it empowers the sports fan here now to say you can have nice things.
Yes.
And Kilby, I think it's so important because we have not seen a significant men's championship here since 1991, when a ton of people weren't born yet or too young with the Twins. So one is, I think it's great that it's the Wolves. As I said last night too, what I love about this is, if you're a basketball fan or not now, the community's on board. The bars are packed. Everyone's excited. And so I think if nothing else, for the self-esteem of the sports fan in this state, it's incredibly important.
Right. And that's why I'm happy. I'm happy for the Wolves fans in the state of Minnesota, because I have an ability out here in LA to keep my space and not let it affect me. And it sometimes bothers people that I don't go through the misery, or I turn the game off and follow it here on my phone and all that kind of stuff. But I'm so happy for them. And I just hope now, because I'm now getting ready to think about Dallas and Boston. I've always thought about Boston. I always think about the Wolves need a third scorer. And if we lose, I say we don't have a third scorer. But when Jaden is doing what he's doing, then we're fine. And Mike Conley hitting big shots, So I'm really, really excited. I hope there's not a exhale and a letdown in game 1 on Wednesday. Yeah. What are you guys thinking about Dallas? And are you guys kind of exhaling and saying we just conquered the beast and now we should be okay? Or what are you thinking?
Well, these are all great questions.
That's part of the interviewing.
I mean, that's the experience you get with a Craig Kilborn across the last generation. But I feel like, so I have not done the deep dive required. How does this? I watched enough Dallas games against OKC. Their defense is a lot different than it's been in years past. It's interesting because Luka has actually had a really bad shooting playoffs so far.
Ice cold, yeah.
And you wonder what the deal is there. Kyrie is like a better version of Jamal Murray, and that you can play great defense on both those guys, and then they can just like hit a crazy fadeaway from 25 feet and dagger you. But there's been little glimpses, that game, the end of game scenario from a year ago in the regular season, where the Mavericks are down by 3. They need to get a shot off to tie the game, and it's like 16 seconds of jail time. Jaden McDaniels, Anthony Edwards. So my gut says that the Wolves match up well with Dallas, that Dallas is a lesser opponent than Denver.
That's what I'm hoping.
But that doesn't guarantee anything. And you can't, you're halfway through. That's the crazy. You scaled this mountain maybe even before you were supposed to. And your reward now is an extra day off and another mountain and then another mountain. It just shows how crazy and long the NBA playoff grind is.
Yeah, when KG first went to Boston and the big three were getting accustomed to playing with each other, I said, and some others said, just win it now. Don't wait, win it now, because that's the only time they won the first year.
It is.
They won the championship, so you got to win it now. You have to win it now, in my opinion. Another thing about Luka, because I'm a bit of a purist here, man, he turns it over sometimes.
He does.
Either had 7 or 9 the other day. I mean, just ridiculous. And, turnovers really help us, because then we're in the open floor getting layups and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Go ahead, Judd. Yeah.
Oh, so to get back to the question, though, I believe, because, this is, for a lot of people, uncharted territory. Here's my opinion. Today, enjoy it. Tomorrow, you got to bear down. That includes the fan base and the team. Yeah. Tomorrow you flip that page and you got to go. And look, what's so funny about this is the blueprint is not, well, if Ant shoots well and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all important. But the blueprint is, if you are willing now for 2 more rounds to work your ass off, which is what you do, you can win a championship. Yep. But like, think about how weird that sounds. Because, I mean, this is a league that was, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, built on the 3-point shot. It was built on, if you want to play defense, that's awesome. But if you don't, that's cool too. And you think about what this team has set for a blueprint for success. But, I mean, this is what makes the playoffs so great too. Yep. It is such a grind. Hockey and basketball just eat you up and spit you out, and that's what's great about watching it.
And a lot of Minnesota sports fans are not. You could see it happening within the confines of the Denver series. Oh my God, we're up 2-0, or we're gonna sweep through the playoffs. This is great because we don't know how to act in a. We haven't gone through the playoff grind enough to know what to do with our hands, right? Like what this is crazy. And then Denver comes back, they win 3, and series is over. Trade everybody, fire the coach, all this stuff. It's like deep breaths. Within these series, they take weird twists and turns. Yeah. And one thing we talked about last night on the post-game celebratory recap live stream was what the Wolves do the best. The Wolves' backbone is defense, and what they do the best travels. You can go into a road arena. Absolutely. It's like when the Rockets lost to the Warriors in that crazy 7-game series a few years back. Well, the Rockets' backbone was 3-point volume.
Okay,
and they were going to, and they go 0 for 27.
That is an unbelievable. I couldn't believe they couldn't hit 1-3.
Yeah,
like what is that? I mean, that's just so bizarre.
But that was sort of out of their control. All they can do is keep chucking, and there's just going to be an anomaly, right?
Do you guys recall? I think it was Game 4 here, Rockets Wolves, and the Wolves I think won Game 3, right? They lost games 1 and 2 in Houston. They came back here and won Game 3. If you guys recall, in the first half of Game 4, the Rockets couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And I remember tweeting, why don't they just get some baskets? Like, just set a tempo and you should have seen the vitriol in my tweets back. That's not how this game is played. You're an idiot. How could you think that they would not stop shooting? And they won. But I mean, against the Warriors, it never ended. They couldn't make it.
Okay. That's a great point. And I made a similar point years before when the Rockets were playing the Knicks in the finals, and Pat Riley was the Knicks coach. And John Starks was ice cold. And he kept launching on-the-move 3-pointers. You're going to get out of your slump by shooting on-the-move, off-balance 3-pointers? And I said, no, you drive and manufacture free throws. You drive and get hacked. This is what Chauncey Billups used to do with the Nuggets and the Pistons. He would drive at the end of a game just to get 2 free throws. Mm-hmm. And you get your rhythm back by seeing the ball go through the hoop at the free throw line. And I said, everyone was blaming Starks. I said, you know what? I'm now going to blame Riley for keeping him in there. Put Derek Harper back in. This was ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, I do love that our team plays defense. It's refreshing. We're going to win the championship, and I guarantee. I'm just kidding.
No,
go.
Do it.
Run with it.
Say it.
We're going to win the NBA championship, and I guarantee it.
Say it.
Defense wins championships.
There you go. You're not wrong.
Hey, final question before we say goodbye to you for now. I have a feeling
Where are you going for your birthday? Mason Margot? Where are you going?
Well, that leads into my question. I was at Mason Margot on Friday for a fun little celebration. It's the birthday season, by the way.
Was that a Scotch or a bourbon? I can't tell with the young people.
It was bourbon based. Okay. It was bourbon based.
Porzana. You got to go Porzana tonight.
So Porzana's great. We're going to Young Joni tonight for
it's good.
Fantastic little wood fire pizza place. But Charles Barkley was asking Anthony Edwards. Well, he said 2 things. He said, hey, I haven't been to Minneapolis in 20 years, even though he's been here several times and there's well documented.
Right.
I haven't been there in 20 years, and Anthony Edwards says, bring your ass. But then he wanted to know what the great restaurants were because he's going to be spending some time here. So, I mean, putting you on the spot, but you're a man of great restaurant taste when you do. Are you going to be in town for?
I don't think I'm coming this week. I could still change my mind, but I need to cleanse a little bit. I need to cleanse. So when
You'll come for the clincher maybe next week is what you're
It's, Manny's, Mason Margot, Murray's, FEMA's, I went to the tasting menu. Gavin Case and Demi.
Okay.
I went there. 7-course tasting menu on the weekends. It's 9-course. He also has a Spoon and Stable.
Chuck
And
might
I'm
need the
one of-
9-course one, so we should probably
Yeah.
direct him to the weekend version. Okay.
Oh, that's right. And I'm one of these guys, and I'm not going to pass judgment on you guys. My father worked in St. Paul, so I go over to the Lexington. I go to Meritage. Some people say Meritage. I pronounce it Meritage. I go to the St. Paul Grill at the St. Paul Hotel. I go to the lobby bar in the St. Paul Hotel. I'm not afraid of St. Paul. I think it's beautiful. And some of you Minneapolis snobs, I'm disappointed in you. Get your ass over to the Lexington and Meritage.
There is a fighting chance that the Timberwolves actually could spend a year or two playing in St. Paul if they get a new building as well.
After they
So
win a
be
championship.
prepared.
The
St. Paul is
Lexington.
great though.
Meritage.
West 7th is fantastic. I love it.
The Coney Island place. I mean, come on.
A lot of history over there.
Gopher Bar. No, that's in Minneapolis. Gopher Bar is in St. Paul, right? Gopher Bar and Grill.
Gopher
Yeah.
Bar. Oh, yeah.
Dive.
There's a great Culver's too in Maple Grove that Chuck could maybe go check out. Maybe a Sonic.
Have you ever been to Cove over in Wayzata? Cove.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
a couple weeks ago. A little pretentious sometimes, but the food is fantastic.
I went there once for lunch, and it was great on the water and everything. But then my friend said, during the week, Monday through Friday, around 1 in the afternoon, there are a bunch of people drinking, bunch of ladies drinking. And I said, are they working? Some of them are divorcees. Some of them, I don't know what's going on.
Just putting the vibe out.
It's Wayzata. Kilby, it's the Western Burbs. Come on, man. Of course they are.
That's A-Rod stretch right there. There's that street full of great restaurants, Cove.
Yeah.
That's where if you're looking for A-Rod, you can roam around and find him in Wayzata, the mean streets of Wayzata.
Did you guys read?
man.
One more question for you guys. So do you? Because I love this. It's so cathartic and easy and refreshing. Do you rewatch the game the next morning, or I should say at least part of the game? I watched the second half again this morning. And I see so many plays from Mike Conley and Ant and the blocks on Jokic underneath, and then Rudy helping out. I just see all these little plays, Do you rewatch?
I have 2 morning after rituals for huge Timberwolves games. One, I check out what Dane Moore is posting on social media and what Jake Painting howls and growls. Those guys are like great X's and O's film breakdown gurus. And they do the work of, hey, here are like the 3, 4, 5 really important plays or trends. And so I love the day after work that those guys put in. But then I love to go in and just see like on Get Up, go flip around these national sports talk shows to see see them discovering the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards for the first time.
Yes.
And now 2 weeks later, they're all experts on the Timberwolves and experts in air quotes, I say. But like this morning on Get Up, one of their topics was, is Anthony Edwards on the verge of becoming the face of the league? Which is a very cliche, drummed up talking point.
But
it's fun.
ago.
I know. That's the funny part.
They just did that one.
Those are my 2 rituals.
Right. And the other thing is when you say face of the league, which is, it's entertaining. I swear to God, somebody said, who's going to be the face of the league? And someone said, well, either Anthony Edwards or John Morant.
How's that going?
What is that?
How's that going? Maybe the face of your gun commercial, huh, John Morant? Yeah, he's gone from being like on the verge of maybe being a face of the league to being completely irrelevant. So he's also too small, man. He's too small. He's a first, second round.
He got
guy.
hurt, right? He came back and almost immediately got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, over under. Finals against the Celtics. How many minutes does Luka Garza play? Sorry, I'm just having fun.
The Pacers' disrespect from Kilby on this episode, by the way, is palpable.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? I have a lot of respect for the Celtics. I really do.
But they just like short in a 7-game series, the Celtics are good for like 1 or 2 complete short circuit, like self-inflicted blue screen of death games where they just don't show up. They're 500 at home in the last like 40 playoff games.
We definitely have an advantage with coaching because I know the Celtics coach is a little subpar.
Yeah, that's I think part of the thing. I think the Pacers have a chance. I really do. I really like the Pacers.
Rick Carlisle, man, like they're
Well, I think I honestly haven't watched them as much, and I watched them in the regular season, and their defense is kind of like they just like to outscore people, so it kind of makes me nauseous. But that's okay.
They shot 67%, the highest percentage in NBA playoff history, to beat the Knicks yesterday.
They were
But
shooting
Dallas is first.
80%, almost at halftime. They were 80%.
And the Knicks literally had no one left by the
Yeah,
end. When
yeah.
Brunson, broke his wrist or his hand?
Charles
thought-
Oakley checked in for the last 5 minutes.
I thought
Pretty
Shake Milton, it
Cartwright.
was his time. It was time to put in Shake Milton.
Shake, yeah.
Shake.
That's right.
Oh,
What
man.
what a year. It feels like Shake was with the Wolves like 5 years ago now. He started the season on the roster.
I was very high on that Shake.
So was
acquisition.
I. I was high on him. A couple years ago, I was high on Jalen Noel. I'm still high on Monte Morris. I think he's a ball player.
Yeah.
You know? So
You might get some run. So, wow, dude. Craig Kilborn.
It's been awesome.
We appreciate you gracing us with your presence. By the way, you can find Kilby's podcast and YouTube channel, The Life Gorgeous. Just type that in, The Life Gorgeous, on YouTube, and probably some more Wolves takes coming
And
at
I
you here.
also, my favorite thing is the Instagram. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy doing silliness on Instagram. And to the listeners out there, I hope I wasn't too high energy today. There's a lot of thoughts running through my head as I rewatch the game. And there's so many wonderful plays and wonderful moments. I love the Conley three in the corner on the ball movement. I love Ant stripping Jamal Murray. I like the steal by Conley. He just stole it at midcourt, and then they kicked it out. Nas kicked it out to Ant, and Ant hit the big three. Even if he's 6 for 24, he'll hit the big shot at the end.
Yes,
And the
you
Nas putback as well.
Oh.
Talk about the cat one. How about
That was so cat quick. And I had to make
Yes.
sure it wasn't offensive goaltending, and I rewatched it. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh.
You were as calm, cool, and collected on this Flagrant Howls episode as Cat backing down Jamal Murray in the biggest game of his life. Great performance by you here today,
Thank you.
Kilby.
Thank you. Happy birthday, buddy. And Judd, I don't know when your birthday is, but happy birthday.
November, so I'm fine for now. You know what? At my age, I'm happy if it's not anywhere close, okay? Like, I'm not looking forward
Stave
to
it off.
55. I'll stay 50.
Are the Vikings going to be at 500 after 7 games? I'm hearing scary thoughts on the Vikings schedule.
It's a tough schedule.
It is a tough schedule.
Yeah.
It is.
It's tough.
And Chicago gets an easy schedule.
The most important question, will J.J. McCarthy, will his development be progressing as planned? That's the most important thing.
Judd's going to be at Vikings. They have organized team activities this time of year, which is just a fancy way of saying practice. So the Vikings practice tomorrow. Judd will have the binoculars out there charting all the snaps for you.
So obviously I'm pulling for J.J. McCarthy, and I just did the Rich Eisen show, and he obviously went to Michigan and loves J.J. and thinks he's a stud. And I'm pulling for him, but the way my mind works is I like guys that are talented, so I'm pulling for Sam Darnold to pull a Baker Mayfield. I mean, that guy's got skill. He moves well. He's strong. I like the way he moves. I like his throwing motion, so I'm pulling for Sam Darnold. Is he there now or not? Is Sam Darnold going to be there, or is this just rookie? Oh, he's going to be there. Okay, cool.
Yes.
That's the drama. Who's going to get the most snaps?
Yeah,
Probably
the snaps.
Sam.
The snap count.
Yeah.
OTAs.
Yeah.
Nothing's too small for Score North. There's no.
I'll be
Triple
watching. I'll be
daily.
watching, Judd, to see what you say about Sam Darnold. See how he looks.
All right. I will file a full report.
Thank you, guys.
Matt. Craig Kilborn, ladies and gentlemen, here on Flagrant Howls, a Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.